Every 3 years I had to go in and get checked. 2019 I went in to get checked, and I end up with really bad case of whatever you want to call it. Can't even think now. But anyway, my kidneys ended up inflamed, and my bladder and everything. The scope apparently was dirty, and so it happened so quickly. On a Wednesday, I went in, was scoped. By Thursday evening, I could feel the effects that I had some infection going on. And by Saturday, I had to go into the walk-in clinic at Cox, and they said, "Well, you've got bladder infection, something terrible, and it's probably moving into your kidneys." Well, it must have moved into my kidneys, because that Saturday night, I laid down in bed, and I didn't get out of bed until Friday, the following Friday. I couldn't get out of bed. If I got out, I would have to crawl to the bathroom, and I was throwing up. I mean, it was awful. And I was telling the Lord, you need to save me, Lord. I'm going to die from this. And I really felt I was. And anyway, my wife put out on Thursday, she put out a prayer request. Now, this was the following Thursday. She put out a prayer request that people would pray for me. And Patrick and his wife seen the prayer request, and it was a bad day. It was kind of like glazing the roads over, icing them up. They were coming back home. They lived down by Murder Rock at that time, and they were driving back in 2019, and they asked if they could stop in and pray. And my wife said, no. We'll take your prayers long distance. We don't want you to get caught on the road. Well, I'm in bed. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know she was having this conversation with him. I don't know what time of the evening it was, but I know it was dark outside. And his wife, Carol, calls my wife and says, "Can Patrick come in?" She says, "We're out front." My wife said, "Well, absolutely." And so they came in, and we had some oil, and they said some prayers over me. But Patrick, you might want to tell what you said.
Well, I just basically prayed for your healing, but then I said, I know the Lord visits you sometime in the night, and I said, Lord, he really could use a visitation, but something to that effect.
Well, I was in and out of sleep, or consciousness as I call it, because I was taking my medication, and that was making me groggy and everything else. And I'm laying there in bed, and I heard him say that. And they went out in the living room and were visiting out in the living room. Now, again, I don't know. My wife told me that that's what they were doing. And I woke up and I go, Lord, you don't have to come and see me. I said, I know you're really busy. Yeah, seriously, I said that. I said, I know you're really busy, and you don't need to come and see me. You're way too busy for that. Well, guess what? He didn't come Wednesday night, or Thursday. Wednesday night. It was Wednesday night. He didn't come Wednesday night. Thursday, I'm in bed all day long. I'm in bed. It's about 9 o'clock at night, and I said, Lord, thank you so much for hearing my prayers, and I know you're going to heal me. But I could use a visit after all. I really wouldn't mind if I got a visit from you. And, well, guess what? About 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I'm in this huge auditorium. Now, they say old men have dreams, young men have visions. Well, I was 27 in 1981, so I was having a vision. Old men have dreams, so guess what? I was having a dream. But in that whole large auditorium that I was in, or building I was in, there was one door, a normal door that you open up and go through. And as I'm walking towards it, I hear this singing. Now, we've got a choir at Faith and Wisdom, and they're wonderful. But that wasn't our choir. And I could tell it wasn't our choir because it didn't sound like human voices. It was too beautiful for that. The octaves and everything else that they were singing was just above what man can do. I walked over, I grabbed a hold of the handle, I remember so vividly, opening up the door, and I went like this, and there was thousands of angels, tens of thousands of angels, and they were worshiping Jesus. And I opened the door farther, and there was Jesus on a podium, or on a raised like this, and he's standing there. He's just accepting the worship. And I flattened myself right out on the floor, right there. And I looked up. I am not worthy. I kept saying, I'm not worthy, Lord. I'm not worthy. And I seen him step down. He walked over. This is what really gets me. This is tougher than the first one. And he said, Richard, come up here. And he lifted me up. He grabbed me by my hand and lifted me up. And I said, Lord, I'm not worthy. He says, you don't have to cry. I said, but you don't know how much I love you. He looked at me and he goes, this is how much I love you. And the holes were in his hands. You could see right through them. You could see the holes in his hands. And I said, Lord, I love you so much. And I said, can I hug you? I did. I said, can I hug you? And he goes, well, yes. And we hugged, and when I hugged him, it was like lightning went through me. His love, I felt. His love, the only way I could describe it, his love is like a mother's love for her child. Now, my wife goes, no. You love your children too. And I said, I don't think it's like a mother. They were inside you for 9 months. I said, what I felt at that moment, I know was a mother's love for her child. And as I was embraced by Jesus, I woke up. And I just thanked him. I was crying. Tears were running down my face. I just thanked him. That next morning, Friday morning, I got out of bed. I went to the bathroom. I sat down in the bathroom, and I went, wait a minute. I can't do this. I can't walk from the bed to the bathroom. I was completely healed. Completely healed. I'd had a migraine headache for a week. There was no headache. I had body aches and pains. There was no body aches and pains. My kidneys were killing me. Everything was gone. He healed me when we hugged. Those are the two experiences that I had with Jesus. The first one I seen him physically. The second one I seen in a dream. But he told me how much he loved me by just showing me his hands. And he loves each and every one of you just as much. So don't forget that as you go throughout your daily lives, of just how much Jesus loves you. And tell somebody else. Always make sure that you're loving on your brother, because Jesus sees it. He hears it. He feels it. So that's my testimonies. Thank you so much.